Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, people always ask me, like, what is the magic supplement? What is the magic program that's going to get me to transform? There isn't any. It's your persistence to consistency that counts. Doing the things that you don't want to and doing it on the days that you don't want to. So focus on consistency, persistence, day in and day out. Today is back day. Remember, this is a muscle group you need to focus on specifically because you don't see it in the mirror. So I need you to focus on that mind-muscle connection. We're starting off with banded pull downs, the same as last week, but I want you to challenge yourself to make it a little bit harder by stepping further away from the supported area of that resistance band and holding it just a little bit wider to create more resistance. So the cues are overhand grip, step away, elbows should follow the direction of your body. They shouldn't fall behind, they shouldn't drop forward to target your lats. A little bit wider than last week, chest up high, control your core, and remember your breath work. Breathe in on the way up, breathe out on the way down. Squeeze, contract, pause at the bottom, and stretch out at the top by allowing your shoulders to come up. When you're performing your banded pull downs, I want you to stand underneath the resistance band with your arms out straight. There should already be resistance placed upon those bands. This will ensure that you have tension throughout the entirety of this movement. You're going to keep your upper body straight, shoulders slightly back, chest up high, and chin up high. There shouldn't be any swinging from your upper or lower body throughout this movement. The primary movers throughout this exercise are going to be your latissimus dorsi muscles. And to keep the constant tension throughout the entirety of this exercise, I want you to come down and pause for a second before getting a full stretch with still resistance at the top of the exercises. There will be no pause at the top and no pause at the bottom. Remember, it's very important for you to breathe during your workouts. You need to oxygenate your brain so you stay focused and you get plenty of oxygen-rich blood throughout your muscles so you can perform at your best. Remember your goal, why you started this, what has led you to this. So you better follow through. Write down your goals every single day and reaffirm themselves with yourself every day. Now we're moving on to one of my favorite exercises, which is the bent over dumbbell row. I want you to go a little bit heavier than what you did last week to challenge yourself. If you can't go heavier, then maybe pause and contract at the top for a little bit longer and control the negative portion of the rep a little bit longer as well. Make sure that you have this back straight, and as you start to fatigue and get tired, check your form, make sure it's aligned, make sure your back is straight, because quite often when I see people fatigue, their form starts to lack as well, and that's where injuries happen. So let's pick up the dumbbell straight, legs bent, back straight. Make sure your neck is aligned with your spine as you bend over on bent legs. So I don't see your head forward like that. Gonna come up, squeeze, and down. Pause at the top, contract your shoulder blades together, and then round out your shoulders at the bottom. Bend your knees slightly and then bend over at the hips until your upper body is parallel to the floor. When you're performing the row movements with your dumbbells, you're going to focus on your traps as the primary mover. You're going to work your lumbar, your erectors, and your lats as your secondary muscle groups. Squeeze your shoulder blades at the top for a split second and then come back down. But do not allow your arms to lock out straight so you can keep the tension applied to your traps. Often people ask me how much weight that they should be utilizing when they're performing an exercise. Well, simple. If I give you a rep range of say 15 to 20, but you end up performing 25 to 30, then the weight is too light for you. So you'd need to go heavier. And consequently, if you only were able to perform say 5 or 10 repetitions, then the weight is too heavy and you should go a little bit lighter on your next set. Okay, here we are. This is where people either fall off or they move forward and they come up in a winner's circle. Do you want to end up on the podium or do you want to be just another number? Be a success within yourself by pushing yourself every single day, marking off every single meal and every single workout to absolute failure in order to achieve your goals. Now we're going to move on to the reverse grip banded row. This will be in a bent over position. Your upper body will be at a 45-degree angle, the same as what you did last week. It was a unique exercise last week, but very similar to the bent over row with dumbbells. However, your grip is reversed and your elbows are tucked in tight and your upper body is at a 45-degree angle as opposed to parallel to the floor. So this week I want you to hold onto the resistance band a little bit further down towards your feet or take a slightly wider stance or both to create more resistance. You can stand up and then get into your starting position. Reverse grip, elbows tucked tight, and this is really going to target your latissimus dorsi, those lat muscles either side of your back. Breathe out on the way up, breathe in. Try to come all the way up to your lower stomach and go back down. Your posture should be bent over at a 45-degree angle from your upper body. Your knees should be slightly bent in this movement, and then your neck should be aligned with your back, and you're going to grab hold of the band with a reverse grip. The muscle groups that you're going to be working in this movement is specifically going to be the lower lats, but you're also going to target your upper lats, your rhomboids, and your traps as secondary movers. Should place muscle tension onto your lats throughout the entirety of this movement. The way that you do that is to contract at the top for a second, squeezing your shoulder blades, and then stretching your arms out, but there should still be tension placed upon the resistance band so the muscle does not disengage. Now we're moving on to the seated banded rows. Now I know we usually do this with our spine. You have to prevent that by keeping it aligned, and this is a phenomenal exercise to help with your posture. So to strengthen the muscles in the back, I want you to put the resistance band over your feet and hold the resistance band a little bit further than last week to create more resistance, so we can make this a little bit harder. You've got to reach failure between 12 and 15 repetitions here, so you can go pretty tough on these resistance bands. You're gonna row back, hold it there for a second, control the negative, and back and squeeze and keep your neck aligned. Breathe out and then breathe in. Lead with your elbows. Just think about your elbows pulling back and squeezing those shoulder blades together and creating shape in your back. To begin with, I need you to have your knees just ever so slightly bent with the resistance band over the bottom of your feet. When your arms are out straight, there should already be resistance placed upon the bands. You're going to be targeting your traps and your rear delts throughout this movement, and you're also going to get some secondary movement throughout your lats. To keep the constant tension applied to these muscle groups, I want you to squeeze for a second at the full contraction, and then as you straighten your arms back out, there should already be resistance when your arms are locked out, but do not pause there. Come back and pause for a second, only in the full contraction before repeating. When you're performing the concentric part of the movement or the positive part, or when you're actually pushing, that's when you breathe out. Remember, if you have to scream to push that exercise because it's so hard, you have to exhale. Now we're moving on to another resistance band movement, which is a straight arm pull down. Now, remember you did this last week. I still want you to find failure, but at a further point. So I want more reps and more resistance. So let's get underneath the resistance band here with a shoulder width distance apart with an overhand grip. And I'm gonna step away further than last week to create more resistance. And I'm gonna come down, squeeze at the bottom by squeezing my shoulder blades and allowing my shoulders to creep up at the top of the movement before bringing them back down at the bottom. Squeeze, contract, and control that negative. Breathe out, and then breathe in on the way up. Breathe out, breathe in on the way up. You've got 4 sets here of about 12 to 15 reps to absolute failure. I want you to stand facing away from the resistance band with your upper body straight, keeping your chest out, head up, and neck aligned with your spine. When you reach overhead with that resistance band in hand, I want there to be resistance even at the top or the start of the movement to ensure that you do not disengage the lat. To ensure that there's constant tension placed upon the lat muscle that you're working, make sure that there's resistance on the resistance band at the start of the movement, and then as you come down with your arms straight, you're going to retract your shoulder blades until your palm is almost in line with your thigh. There you're going to pause for a second and then go back to the starting position before performing the same movement on the opposite lat while the lat that you just worked is relaxing. I really like to utilize this as a pre-fatiguing movement of the lat because you don't have to utilize assisting muscles such as the biceps. Now we're moving on to the banded deadlifts. If you want to make this a little bit harder because your resistance band isn't strong enough, you can also add dumbbells to this too. But I'm going to demonstrate with the resistance band, and I'm going to make it harder than last week by holding it lower down by my feet. So you're going to stand on that resistance band. Also, if you want to make it harder, you can stand a little bit wider on the resistance band. So I'm going to do that too. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to hold it near the bottom, and I'm going to stretch it out. And that's my starting position. And I'm going to go down nice and slow and pull up. Now we've got 12 to 15 repetitions to do here to absolute failure, so you can go pretty tough on this. And we've got 4 sets in total, so you'll rest for about 60 seconds between each one of these sets before going again. Breathe out and breathe in. Breathe out and breathe in. I want you to stand up in an upright position, chest up high, and back should be straight throughout the entirety of the movement. When you're standing there, on top of your resistance bands, there should be tension already placed upon the resistance band. That's going to be your starting position. As you come down, you're going to bend over ever so slightly at your waist. However, your spine must be straight. You're going to be targeting your glutes, your quads, and the hamstrings throughout the entirety of this movement in this exercise. To keep the constant tension applied to these muscle groups, I don't want you to lock your knees out at the top. You're going to come down until your hamstrings are parallel to the floor, and then back up, and then straight back down with no pauses. Now remember, it isn't all about how you begin these workouts, it's how you finish. So make sure that you focus on your last set as strong as you did on your beginning sets. So don't get distracted. Focus on pushing yourself to the very end. Perfect. You have finished another day and you're back here to make sure that this one is a success as well. I want you to focus everything that you have within these days, controlling your environment. Don't allow yourself to become lazy, because that's the reason why you came here in the first place. You are here to transform and change. It's only 12 weeks, which could be a pivotal moment for the rest of your life.